All right, so in this lecture, we're going to be talking about mastering composition. Now, composition is probably one of the most important skills to master when it comes to digital painting, because without a good composition, no matter how well you render it, the image can still come across really badly if the composition isn't really well done. Composition is what helps guide our eye and direct us where to look in a painting so that we're not just overwhelmed with all the information we see. So for this lecture, your assignment is going to be this. Find 10 images. Okay, and I know it's a lot, but it's because this is a really important one to master. Find 10 images, and you're going to go through and break it down into 3 values, similar to that other 3-value one, so you don't have to number anything, okay? And what you're doing is you're trying to really focus on the composition and see how using those values you can make it so that the image really shows through the scene. So you can see here the scene from Jurassic Park. I've used 3 images over here or 3 values over here on the left in order to bring out the composition of this piece to something that we can recognize. And even when we shrink it down really small, you can still see what's going on, okay? And that's because the composition is well done for the shot, right? So when you're doing this, what you want to keep in mind is you're not trying to focus on the details, right? You're not trying to get every single little highlight or thing like that, right? You don't want to do that. That's just going to distract us from the overall composition. What you want to do is try and break down the composition of the image into its simplest terms, right? So to do this, you're probably going to have to fudge some things, right? You can see here in this one from Star Wars, in the original image, there's this square shape coming into the circle window behind Darth Vader's head. Yet in my composition, I didn't add it because I felt from a compositional standpoint, it just looked better, it felt better without that, right? Even though in the image, Boba Fett is way darker than the surrounding wall behind him, I felt compositionally speaking, it looked better to just let him fade into the wall and have his silhouette cut out of the window behind him, okay? So that's what you're trying to do. You're really trying to focus on the composition, figure out why it's working, and help accentuate it, right? You don't have to be a slave to the reference photo, okay? Take what you see and you like and work with it, and what you don't like, cut out. This one is a little bit more complex, right? There's a little bit more detail, and it was hard to work with that background, right? Because I did still want to have the sense that it was being lit from this sort of tiki torch or this idol thing, and that there's these vines hanging, but I still simplified it quite a bit, right? You can see that even the idol is way more simplified, and you can still see the planes of Indiana Jones' face, and it still maintains a good composition, okay? Let's look at this one up here, okay? Super simple composition. I didn't do every single little raindrop. I just did some of the lights in the background, and it reads really, really clearly, okay? Even if you shrink it down way small, you can still tell exactly what the image is, okay? And that's what you want to be able to do. If you're doing a painting and you shrink it down and you can't tell what it is because it's just too confusing to look at, there's not clear silhouettes or anything like that, then maybe think about reworking the composition, right? You can see in this one as well. The reason it's so easy to read is because there's such clear contrast between the silhouette of Rey from Star Wars and the background behind her, right? It's very clear to see what's going on in the scene. You're not confused. You're not trying to figure out what is happening because the composition is so well done, right? So keep that in mind. Only use 3 values. Don't focus on the details, right? Think about the main overall shapes, right? That's what you're trying to focus on. If you find yourself going into highlights and, focusing on folds and clothing and stuff like that, you're getting way too detailed, all right? So for this assignment, go ahead, find some images online that you think have really good composition that, either iconic scenes from movies, they can be from comic books, whatever you want, paintings you find, and do 10 of them, break them down to 3 values, and really try and bring out the composition in them. So that's it for this lecture. I'll see you guys in the next one.